Okay. How you
Uh,
doing,
got
academics?
it. How are you? How are you? Can't
I'm
complain at all.
good. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Of course. So I would love to get started just with what is the origin of you becoming the DJ Academics? I saw your Instagram. You like to differentiate it.
Oh
I know.
yeah, I mean the is self-explanatory, and the
Yes,
parentheses and everything behind DJ because I'm the actual DJ, and the meaning
exactly.
basically I'm the original and the first, so that type of thing. But if you ask me
Yes.
where I got the, are you asking me where I got the name
Yeah, where
from?
like you're just like your where you got the name and even just how you
Okay.
started. Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, so I've been DJing for since 2001. So around that time, of course, when I first started DJing, like it was still the mixtape era. Like I don't know if you guys you remember
Hmm.
this or not, but it
I
was
I
still it was
remember.
still the DJ Clue, the Stadium series, and all the freestyle CDs and cassettes that we used to have. And DJ Clue was probably the biggest DJ in the world at that point, and
Mhm.
he had started a clothing line called Akademiks, and that was me always wanting to do something different, and inspired because I'm trying to become a DJ, and this is the biggest DJ in the world right now because he's on all the mixtapes and stuff like that. So I wanted to be different because nobody was wearing it, so I started wearing it. Because at the same time I started DJing, like I didn't have a name, so it was like I was flirting with different names. Like this is also the baggy big throwback jersey era too. So I was
Mhm.
flirting between like Jersey Boy. My name is Kevin. My government name is Kevin, so it was like DJ
Okay.
Kev, DJ Kevo, DJ
Okay.
Kev Easy, and then it started off actually as a joke. Like one of my friends actually just, man, I'm gonna call you academic because you always wearing that shit. You always wearing
That's
that dumbass
real.
shit because nobody was wearing it yet. It
Yeah.
did it did end up becoming popular, but I got on
Mhm.
it like before anybody was really on it, so it was a joke at first, and then it
Mhm.
kind of just stuck.
I love that. And what around what year was that?
This is 2001. This is 2000
2001. Okay.
2001. Yeah,
You
this
started
is
DJing around
this is turn of the
2001.
century.
Turning century. So you started DJing around like 2001, basically.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And what like led you to even DJ?
What led me to DJing? I moved to Atlanta like probably like 3 years before that, and I'm from Baltimore. Grew up in Baltimore my whole life. I lived in Atlanta for 2 years when I was younger,
Okay.
and when I moved to Atlanta, it's not the Atlanta that everybody like thinks of right now, like the hot place to go or so on and so on. Back then, it was kind of like me being a kid from Baltimore. That's all I know is Baltimore City. Is
Mhm.
I just thought, I was a big Black History buff. That was probably one of the
Okay.
only things I knew a lot about. So I just thought about segregation, racism, all that stuff, plantations. I didn't want to go to Georgia. So my first year in Atlanta, I really didn't do much. It wasn't until the second year where I got out, started playing football, and like, I had my friends in school, but I really didn't get out and do much. So what I mostly did was listen to the radio in my room and like listen to music and CDs, just
Mm.
consume myself in music. And it was a guy on the radio by the name of Chris Lover and Poon Daddy. That was the night show. Basically the same shift
Okay.
I do now, which is
Yeah.
mine. They had that shift 6 to 10. It was Chris Lover and Poon Daddy. I still remember like their music coming in, their intro music and everything to this day. I used to call up the radio station asking stupid questions and requesting all these dumbass songs. And all that stuff. And later on, Chris Lover ended up becoming Ludacris, who is as we know him
Oh,
now. So
wow.
yeah, he ended up becoming Ludacris as we know now. And I actually met him and told him the story too.
That's
But
so funny.
yeah, I asked him would he ever get in the radio again. He said hell no. But
I never even knew he did radio, but that makes sense because I think one of his videos he has a visual of like being a DJ, but I never knew he did
well, he
radio.
wasn't a DJ as in, playing
Yeah,
music
but he
and
was like
mixing.
on
He
the
was an on-air personality. He was a
yeah.
personality. So
That's
yeah.
funny.
So
Okay.
yeah, and it was just I was just in my room and they sound like these guys were having fun, acting crazy, laughing, joking, and they got
Mhm.
paid to do it. I said, this is it.
That's smart. I love that.
Yeah. So I asked my mother to buy me some turntables. She told me, yeah. And she looked at the price and was like, nah, I'm not spending all that
Figure it
money for
out.
you to just, I'm not spending all that money for you to just play with this for a month and then throw it away. So
Mhm.
fast forward a couple years later, I actually, started, working a little cutting grass and landscaping jobs and stuff like that. And I actually bought my
Earned your
own
money.
first set of turntables. And then that's when, my mom actually invested in me and I bought turntables, she bought me an amp. I bought a speaker, she bought my second
I
speaker.
like
So
that.
she kind of helped when
Mhm.
she saw me putting my money up. She knew I was serious.
She has a partner with you. That's dope.
Yeah. So yeah, she was my
And
first investor.
I love that. And listen, that's a real angel investor in real
Mhm.
life. It was your
Absolutely,
mom.
absolutely.
Yes. And when did you start playing on the radio? Like after having your practice, getting your things together?
Oh man, I didn't get into radio till 10 years later. Like
Okay.
that was a long haul. Like I actually started as an intern in late 2009 right into 2010. I was an intern for Flex and Rain on
Okay.
again the actual show that is mine now.
Yes.
I was the intern for that show, so I started literally from the ground up, answering
Hmm.
phones, writing down what people requesting, even going to get food and running to the
Yep.
store when they asked me to do it. Like everything, I just wanted to be in the building because I knew once I got in the building, I wasn't leaving. So
Yeah.
that was my whole mindset. Like I don't care what I got to do to get in, but once I'm in, I ain't leaving. So that was and just learn, and it allowed me to learn everything about radio step by step, to where as though now I know everything there is, and I do my own show absolutely on my own. I don't need anybody else. I can run it, but run the
Wow.
shit by myself because I learned everything about it step by step from the ground up.
That's incredible. And what station did you start with, or have you just stayed at the
I've
same?
been at PGC the whole time.
That's
I
amazing.
started at PGC. I'm born and
And
bred.
you're still there.
I am the poster child for internships and starting from the bottom and just get your
Yes.
foot in the door and keep working, and it will as long as you stay consistent, keep working, it will work out.
It'll work out. And
I'm the
it's
poster
funny
child
too.
for that.
Yeah, I believe in that too, and just like mentorship and things, because I know even Devin brought that up, like, being on street team, and she's like, I started like on flyers, and so we always see like how it builds up.
Yeah, that was she started in promotions. I started in programming,
Yeah.
so I was right. I was already in the
You were
studio,
already in the studio,
but
yeah.
yeah, I was already in the studio, but still,
Mhm.
it's the same grind. It's the same grind. So yeah,
That's
respect
incredible.
to everything Devin put in work because she was outside doing what she had to do
Hmm.
until she got her chance to move to come across the hall.
Do the next thing, definitely. And at PGC, what did you shift after becoming an intern? What was like your first role there within your role, or did you
My
have different roles?
Well, my first role after being an intern was
Mhm.
a board op, and that's basically you don't see me, you don't hear me, anything. So it's like I'm the person pushing the buttons while the personality is talking.
Okay.
So but nowadays it's transitioned so that I mean there aren't
Mhm.
really too many more board ops because
Mhm.
everybody is their own board op. Like I run my own board now, but
Okay.
this is 10, 15 years ago. So yeah, I was the board op, so I would run the shows on the weekend. I would just push the buttons, make sure everything's on time, make sure everything's moving around and stuff like that. That was my first responsibility.
Okay. And that, I'm sure that comes a lot out of like, is it changes in technology, like budgets at the station? I know that's something that's always evolving because of the industry.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you asked me that
Yeah, like
no, the board ops is because of budget.
yeah,
Absolutely,
like what do you
absolutely.
okay,
That's a
absolutely.
100% budget. That's a
Okay.
100% budget thing. So
Okay.
so yeah, it's now fast forward that, but that's in every industry. Like even the
Mhm.
music industry has downsized, and all you heard late last year, like 300 people got
Yes.
laid off, and all the record labels were merging together. It's just a new day. So it's kind of reconfiguring itself, the industry as a whole, and
Mhm.
it just requires a lot of people to do less people to do more. So it's
Yes.
like, back in the day in say 2009, 2010, it was cool just to be on radio. Now you got to be on radio. You got to be doing podcasts. You got to be on
Yes.
social media. You got to promote. You got to, you got to
Mhm.
have your own spinoffs. You got to be in the street. You can't just sit behind a mic and that be it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
People
and
have to see
that's
you.
just the new day and age. I mean, you
Mhm.
got to be able to evolve and continue to, reinvent yourself to stay alive
Yeah,
in
and
the
how many
market.
years have you been in the industry again?
Since 2010, I signed my paperwork as a board op,
Mhm.
part-time board op hourly employee, December 29th of 2009. So it
Wow,
was,
that is
and that year was my New Year's resolution to get into radio, and I got
okay.
in with 2 days left in the year. So
That is incredible. Definitely have experience.
I signed my tax, not like contract. It was just like, the little tax
Yeah,
W-2
the little
information.
tax paper.
Yeah, yeah, I signed all that stuff on December 29th. So I just barely made my New Year's resolution by 48 hours.
That is incredible. And when it comes to just because you've been at PGC, and I know even on your social media, you're really good at this, and I know it's a part of your job
Mhm,
too, with just like how communal you are. I
mhm,
think that's like something I always see from you that like I really commend of you because there are some radio hosts and DJs that you kind of like hear them or their voice, but you don't always see them necessarily. And I think
mhm,
PGC is definitely special in that way where you all are actually in the community. But from your standpoint now, especially because you are more of like a vet, you are still young, but you're a
mhm.
vet. And so how has like community driven your career too?
Well, I think that's one of the things I was saying. Like you got to be outside, but you also
Mhm.
gotta love to do it. Like I love the process. I love the actual work that entails of the job. So it's
Mhm.
never been a problem to me. This is something that I was always doing anyway. So it's
Mhm.
like now it's just like now I just got to make sure everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Is kind of the big thing. I was already doing it. It was already a passion thing of mine. It's something I cared a lot about. Now I just only the difference is I just got to make sure people see it now.
Yeah.
That's really the only difference for me. I mean, especially like what I do going to schools. It was one thing, when I was in Baltimore, I remember Drew Hill,
Uh-huh.
the R&B group came to my like elementary school when I was in elementary school. And it was like it was them and it was the owner of Fila, the
Oh,
Fila shoes.
wow. Yeah.
And that's when I realized the owner of Fila was actually black. So and it was a
Oh,
Baltimore based brand. I didn't know
I
that
didn't
until
know
then.
that.
But I remember that till this day because I remember who came to my school. So I wanted to bring that same experience to, kids in modern day because, with budget cuts,
Mhm.
everything that's going on with school shootings and,
Mhm.
all the security and all the problems that they say the kids have now. I'll actually be out there and touch them and show them that we care, we see y'all, and we're here for y'all. And we actually, bringing people that you admire. Like I bring community activists, I bring their favorite artists, local artists that they know.
Mhm.
Sometimes I even pop up with a national artist by surprise. And
Mhm.
yeah, we've been doing that. We've been doing the high school invasion tour for about 5 years now. So
That's incredible.
and I plan on doing it for another 15, 20 as long as I can. So
That's really amazing. And what you said about what you're able to do, like, unifying your experience and your relationships to the industry and to the community, how has your role shifted now, even when it comes to, breaking new artists or knowing artists, like, especially now that they're streaming and, there's a new song every week, sometimes every hour. How do you know, even locally, like, people are really taking control of their own music, they're going on social media, they know how to promote themselves. So how do you know, like, who you want to listen to or who you want to help promote?
well, no, I mean, well, as far as my feature and what I do, I
Yeah.
mean, I really don't even look at the names. Like a lot of the people, like if you listen to I'm 100% honest, and that's the way
Yeah.
I want it, and that's the way I want to keep it because I want to keep it authentic to talent
And
and
that's let
talent
the
and
DMV get some, right?
absolutely, yes. So
Yeah.
a lot more, 95% of the artists that get played on Let the DMV Get Some, I've never heard of them before they played. And that's
Mhm.
literally because I'm going through the email and I'm just listening. I'll just listen to songs like, oh, that's a good one. Boom, boom, boom. That's horrible. All right, boom, boom, boom. That's okay. Boom, boom, boom. No, that's hot. And I'm just going down it. And when we hear one, it'll probably be me, Coco Louis, my director of media, Mark. He'll be
Mhm.
in the room with me, and maybe some random person may be in there with us that day, and we're all just listening. And everybody, I look around the room, people here start by. All right, that's one. They getting played tonight, and that's exactly how it goes. And then I'll look at who is this. Boom, boom, boom. First, I'm making sure it's clean first.
Okay, yeah, because the
First,
radio.
I'm making sure it's clean. Making sure it's clean, then it's good. And if they send the music over and then it's clean and it's good, 9 times out of 10, if it's fire like they think it is, it gets played.
And how would you describe fire?
I mean, because it's just a feeling. It's just a
Okay.
feeling. And me just being a DJ for 20 plus years, I know what the people. I have a good
The
ear for
people.
what works and what
Mhm.
people want to hear and how they consume music, how they digest it in certain spaces. And when it's a good record.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you can
just
feel
know.
it.
You
It's
just you just
true.
feel it's a good record. You just feel it. But and what I've noticed is that there's a lot less trash R&B than there is trash rap because you know
Mm.
a lot it's anybody can fake being a rapper or try to be a rapper. Everybody can't fake being a singer. Like if you know you can't sing, you 9 times out of 10 you probably not going to jump out there. But even if you know you can't rap, you'll probably jump out there to see if you can make something funny or
Mhm.
catchy or something like that. So a lot
Mhm.
of times the R&B music be crazy. Like
Okay.
70% of R&B music I get is good. Rap is probably about lower at about 30 to 40. But
Ooh.
but it's still a lot of great artists out there and there's still a
Yeah,
lot of good music being made, but there is a lot of fluff of people that
of
think
other
they
things.
they that they that, but they really not. But for
Mhm.
I say like 30 to 40% of the rap music I get is good. 70 to 5% of the R&B music I get is probably good.
And would you say that a part of your role I'm hearing is that you help filter what people can also see as good. Like, oh, like this is dope. Like you're kind of standing in the middle of new artists and other people having opportunities to hear them.
No, I don't think I'm standing in the middle of anything. I think I'm actually opening up the door because
Well, that's what I mean.
there's
I
no
don't
way
mean the
this
middle
is.
as a, yeah, not as a block, but more as a
Yeah.
like you're a supporter, like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like
yeah.
your
I
turn.
definitely
Yeah.
support. Like I go to the
Uh-huh.
open mics here and there. I go, I'm out and about. People see me, and it be like random people. They'll come to me and say like, "Yo, you played my record," and I'm like, "Oh, for real? Which one was it? Who are you? What's your name?" Because literally, I don't know these people. Like,
Yeah.
but I like it that way because when I always say like, I don't care how many followers you got. I don't care how many followers you don't got. I don't care how popular you are. I just want good music, and that's just we try
Hmm.
to keep it strictly towards talent based. Like, I don't care if you got a million followers or if you got 25 followers. Like
Yeah.
if you got the talent, that's all we concerned with right now.
The
Because
talent's the
I
talent.
want the quality of what goes on my show to stay
Hmm.
high.
That's
And
real.
I'm not worried about, how much marketing you got behind you. I want the quality to be high. I can market the show
Mhm.
myself. I'll
Yes.
market the show, but
Yeah.
I just need the quality to stay
The
high.
quality to be high.
That's me. I'll say I'm quality control. I will put that.
Quality control. Yes,
I'll give
quality
you that. I'm
control.
quality control.
Okay.
I'll put that.
That's what
I'll
I'm
give you
like.
that one.
It's like you're like a filter. Like you're quality control. I like
Yeah,
that. But
I'll say
yes,
quality control. I'll do
quality
that.
control. I like that. Do you think that is still, similar to other people in your position? Do you feel like that is still like the vital role of a radio DJ specifically, like on the radio?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because people don't understand what radio is actually. Radio is about ratings and revenue. So,
Okay.
and it's not about breaking music. That's the misconception that people think, but it's absolutely not about breaking new music. It's about keeping people listening, to keep playing the music that's going to keep people listening. What's going to make sure I don't turn that button, I don't turn that knob to the next station. That's what radio is about, keeping people's attention as long as I possibly can. That's what radio is about.
That's
It's
what
not
radio is
about that.
about.
I do it, but and I think there is a market for it, and I think people appreciate it. But
Hmm.
that's why again the quality has to stay high, because if I'm just playing, a friend's music, one of my homeboys that's horrible, but I want to support them. I mean, people going to change the channel. Like, and
Yeah.
so it
And that
has to
affects
be.
you.
Exactly. So it has to be quality. It has to be good, and we have to keep people's attention because radio is judged every quarter hour, which is every 15 minutes. So
Oh, wow. So you have to keep up those ratings every 15 minutes.
absolutely,
That is something I
absolutely.
did not know. I'm a radio kid. I don't know if it's like, DMV or whatever, grew up here all my life, but I have a heart for radio and I never really thought about like that side of things. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
working in
We're
PR,
judged
like
every
I'm
quarter
always
hour
thinking,
to an hour.
yeah, an hour to
Mm.
a quarter hour to an hour. So are you measured like you specifically? Is it like, oh, your show is doing this? Like, do you hear that frequently?
Absolutely. We
Okay.
have meetings. We get it comes out in a big old Arbitron
Hmm.
ratings. Like it's like a report card. Like
Okay.
we get those every month. And they come out, we get weeklies and we get monthlies. And then you get
Okay.
a quarterly. The quarterly is the big one.
The quarterly is the big one. All
The
right.
quarterly is the big one. So yeah, we get all of that. So we get the weeklies, the monthlies, and then the quarterlies. But it breaks down to every quarter hour, which is every 15 minutes. And we do probably about 400 to 500 listeners every 15 minutes on my show.
That's
400, 500,000. I mean,
1,000. Yeah, oh, that's amazing. I
yeah,
was
4 to
gonna say,
500,000 listeners every
but
quarter
even to
hour.
keep people's attention span in this day and age, even if you said 400, like at that time, because attention spans, like people click, they go away. But
Mm.
to be able to see that, like, oh, they're actually tuning in, and you're able to see, how long they're there or like what the ratings are. That
You
is
see
like
all of that.
really strong. You see all of
We
it.
get all of that. So when people
Mm.
complain about what music is playing, that's the music that keeps people there.
So you need
Be,
to listen to that music. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of people think, that people are used to being in a room of maybe 300.
Mm.
So, but if I'm in a room of 300,000, I'm gonna play a different music. Like
Different music.
it's like being from going from a club to an arena
It's two different
to
things.
to a football stadium
Hmm.
where you got 80 to 100,000. There's different music being played, and energy is transferable. But if you have when you put those 300,000 people in cars by themselves, they consume the music differently. So
That
you
makes
just
a
got
lot
to
of sense.
understand how people consume and digest music and what instances they do. People listen to music differently in a car than they do in a club. If you listen to it differently in their house than they do in a car, is or in a bedroom than they do, in their living room. It's just different places you digest music differently. So you just have to understand all those different things.
And then I guess we can also assume we also listen differently depending on the region or the city.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Cultural differences is goes to a big play in demographics. Like a city
Mhm.
like DC is a melting pot, whereas
Yeah.
though you go to a city like Baltimore, where I'm from, like a DC, you probably is we hate to say it, but it's run by out of towners. You have people coming from all over the place because of
Hmm.
Howard, because of the government, because of the army. All these reasons people come to DC and stay. Similar to like in Atlanta or what
Hmm.
Houston is going through now. Everybody's migrating there.
Everybody's moving
But
there. Yeah.
but you have a place like Baltimore. 90% of the people in Baltimore have born there, raised there, have grown up there their entire life. So it's two totally different places. So more of a DC and the DMV is more of a transplant. More of the DC natives are now in PG County
Hmm. They kind of moved out. Yeah.
because of the gentrification and everything.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And when it comes to even just knowing the differences of the region and having the temperature between like a Baltimore or a DC, I know that that also speaks to your understanding of the industry at large
Mhm.
nationally. And what has been some of your experience with like the role even a PGC plays in like the bigger industry? There's like stations like the Breakfast Club and other stations and other shows that radio is always transforming, and now it's also gaining popularity on YouTube or Instagram. So how would you say that you have been seeing a shift to really when the regional meets national as well, because now somebody can be out of town and listen to PGC online?
Absolutely, absolutely. And shows like Breakfast Club are,
Hmm.
they're New York, but they're nationally streamed.
Everywhere,
So like you
yeah.
can go just like you listen to your local radio station, but you're listening to the Breakfast Club in Atlanta
Hmm.
and New Jersey, or I mean not New Jersey, but like Philadelphia and
Really,
places like
yeah.
that. So
Hmm.
I mean, it definitely helps and it broadens the stream. But I think in DC is one of those cities where what happens in DC, if it blows up in DC, it can blow up anywhere. It's
Yeah.
just one of those. It's just one of those markets. Like it's one of those amazing markets, like a New York, like a Atlanta, like a Miami, like a Houston, a Dallas, a Chicago. It's a top 10 market. I mean, it's not nothing to be played with. This DC is big boy radio. Like
Yeah.
it's not for the weak.
It's not.
If in any way, shape, form, or fashion, DC top 10 market radio is not for the weak. Like and your talent and you gotta love it because it's gonna get tested in every particular way, shape, form, and fashion.
Of it. Yeah, and I was listening to Front Porch, and Robin Thicke actually mentioned that he first broke in DC. I
Mm.
think it was
Well, it's
Lost
a
Without.
big R&B market.
Hmm.
I mean, you got Marvin Gaye is from here. That started it all. Johnny
That's
Gill's from
true.
here. Tank is from DMV. Tank.
Hmm.
You got it's plenty of other ones, and the ones my favorite R&B artists right now are not blown up yet, but they're getting there. And I'm talking about Jatai and Brooklyn
Oh,
Love.
oh, I love Jatai.
They're my two favorites right now. Like
Okay,
Jatai and Brooklyn Love, I think, are the two next superstars out of the DMV in my
that's
eyes.
yeah. And with that being said, what are some? Do you have any like favorite stories or favorite moments of something that even if they're not from here, but maybe you interacted with them here? Of something that happened in DC and like that person went up, nationally, or someone you were able to meet, like any stories like that?
Uh, um, I guess I can say Cardi B well, in DC
Okay.
or any
Oh, it
just
could
in
be
general.
anything that like maybe you contributed to or you met someone or
Well, I will say I'm the first person to play Cardi on radio, and
that's
Nicki,
incredible.
and Nicki. I'm actually the first person to bring Nicki to Baltimore.
Oh
I
wow.
actually
I'm a
booked
big Mark.
Yeah, I booked Nicki Minaj in a club and right outside of South Baltimore called Taste
Okay.
International. All right, we booked her for $1,500.
Wow.
The ink wasn't even dry on the Young Money contract. We were up on her very, very early.
Okay.
It was her and she came down. It was her stylist, and Safari all came down.
Oh wow.
They drove down in a 645. And me and Safari actually met like I want to say like 5, maybe 6 years ago. And we talked about this. I actually have the interview and everything. I was like, yo, I remember. I don't know if you remember this. And he was like, yeah, I remember. That was our first booking. Yeah, 'cause there was only 3 of them because Safari tried to lie to me and tell me he was her DJ when he came
Oh
in
my
and he was
gosh.
trying to work the stuff and he didn't really know what he was doing. I was like, this guy's not a DJ. So, but yeah, but it wasn't public knowledge that they were together at that
Oh,
point.
okay, yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we booked Nicki Minaj for $1,500. She 7 months later, she's through the roof. Um, and Cardi B, we was up on her. Baltimore loved Cardi B. She came
Okay.
through. I was a big supporter of her before Bodak. Actually, Cardi actually gave me my first plaque too, right there in
Oh
the
wow,
corner. Yeah, Cardi actually gave me my first plaque.
that's dope.
Yeah, so shout out to Cardi. Shout out to Cardi on that.
That's great. And I saw you posted, I don't know if it was because of like a former time you met her, but JT as well. I saw.
Oh no, the JT
Yeah.
was cool. No, that was actually my first time meeting JT,
Oh, okay,
which
okay.
was probably like on her solo tour,
On her
which was
solo
probably I
tour.
think that was like 6 months ago. But that was my
Yeah.
first time meeting JT. But she was real cool though.
Yeah, and what would you say is like something people don't realize about you being at, the top, like just from your accolades, but you being in the position you are on DC radio? What do people not realize about? I know sometimes DC natives or people that are in the area can feel like, oh, it's like we're just like in our own bubble, but I don't think people realize the impact that we make on music from this area.
No, this area makes a big impact on music. I mean, just look at from back in the day, like somebody like Spike Lee putting doing the butt on a
Hmm.
classic movie, like that just shows just like for how long, and groups like Salt and Pepper making go-go inspired records, or
Hmm.
now how Philadelphia and New Jersey has adapted to like the club music and what we've been doing in Baltimore for 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
Now it's become a mainstream vibe, and everybody seems like it came from Jersey now. But it's just this mid-Atlantic area, because I won't say DMV because Baltimore, we don't
Yeah,
claim Baltimore doesn't claim DMV. So
I am in
I'll
Baltimore, so
say
there,
I'll say the mid-Atlantic area.
the Mid-Atlantic area.
Yeah, the
Okay.
mid-Atlantic area. So from this area is very influential on a lot that goes on. Like even New York, they'll tell you, like even Kanye West is one of the big persons.
Yeah, yep.
Used to come down into Tacoma Park and stay in the summer and get a lot of his fashion and ideas from DC guys, and take it back to Chicago and
Hmm.
start. That's where he got the whole polo craze from.
Exactly.
So it's just very influential as far as fashion. And I think maybe because it's right here in the Mid-Atlantic, like it's so quick, like just as we can get to New York, we can get to Atlanta, we can get to all these places. So it's kind of like we're that mix of everything, and then we just put it together so crazy that everybody just has to come back and get the sauce.
They have to, and I'm biased, but I love our area. That's just me though. And I went to school in Baltimore, so
Okay,
I
where'd you go?
I went to UMBC. It's Baltimore County, but it was basically
Oh
Baltimore.
no, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
You went to
So
college in Baltimore.
yeah, I went to college in Baltimore.
Okay,
Yes, I'm from Montgomery County.
okay.
You're funny. He's like, you're not from Baltimore. No, I went to college in Baltimore, and now I live in DC. So I definitely have hopped around the Mid Atlantic. I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
I consider Baltimore as Maryland, but I guess I'm wrong. I don't
No,
know.
Baltimore's a landlocked island.
Okay, so it's its own place.
Yeah, it's his own place.
Everyone says
We're not even a part of Maryland. It's a landlocked island.
on that note, that's real. And what are some things that are coming up for you, or anything that we could follow, support you on?
Always support the show. Keep me employed. Keep listening. Those
Yes,
quarter hours make
yes,
a difference. The night show.
yes. We're gonna
Scholar
add to
DJ
that
Academics, 6
400,000.
to 10 p.m. each and every night. That's right on your radio. Also, follow us IG, TikTok, the night show DMV. We also working with artists. I produce as well. So I've been doing that. And I'm actually about to start looking forward to making some sports content, like like power sports, like the bike content and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be putting out. Yeah, I started a bike page. I'm not haven't been promoting it crazy because I'm
Okay,
not particular on the name right now. The IG is just act.moto1k. But I don't know. I'm not sold on that name yet. So before I start promoting it real heavy and get the YouTube
okay.
channel for all the bike content, I gotta play around with that name a little bit more. So I'm figuring some things out. But I look forward to a lot of bike content and power sports with the motorcycles and stuff like that, and production with the music, and of course, clubs, radio,
Mhm.
and interviews and things like that. So a lot of that stuff's going to be in the future, or it's still going on now, but look
We'll
forward to
stay
more of that
tuned.
stuff. What
We'll stay
about
tuned.
you?
Oh, what about me? What's next? I want to do more YouTube series. I want to I want to get more into media in some way. Like I am a
Mm,
publicist, but I went to journalism school and just
mm,
PR was like a firmer route for me and I liked the way I could do different things in it.
mm.
But yeah, I'm still trying to figure that I'm still trying to figure out what's next, to be fair.
Okay.
Maybe teaching. I might get into like I really like teaching or like helping people get information. So I've been also considering working at a university in some way. So yeah.
So what did you major in at UMBC?
Africana studies.
Oh, okay, okay. I'm turning
Yeah.
into the interviewer again because this
Yes,
is
you are.
sorry.
But so when you said history, I was like, we're connecting here.